Good afternoon, Dragons. My name is Jonathan Adler and I'm Commercial Director of Aqualogic, and I am here to talk to you about our virtual domestic water efficiency audits. As many of you will know, most, if not all, of the UK water companies have a commitment to help their customers save water, and it is generally written into their 5-year plan. And one way that they do this is by contracting companies such as Aqualogic to carry out domestic water efficiency home visits. We send our engineers into customer homes to assess customers' water usage, look at the water assets, the toilets, the showers, the taps, and so on. And wherever we can, we install water-saving devices and products such as shower heads, tap aerators, cistern displacement devices, and so on, and make them water efficient. And while we're there, while our engineers are there, we'll encourage behavioural change to assist water saving. For example, less time in the shower, taps off when brushing the teeth, and so on. And this, this is all free to the customer and paid for by the water company. And this was a highly successful, large, profitable area of business for Aqualogic, carrying out thousands of visits a year for our various water company clients. Then the pandemic hit. And when it hit, we had around 30 people working on the water audits, which accounted for about 25% of the Aqualogic income stream. And all this went up in a puff of COVID smoke. So we had to innovate. We looked at other industry areas for inspiration. We looked at GP surgeries, carrying out video examinations confidentially and securely. We looked at the courts operating virtually over video links, and our own business carrying out meetings, interviews via Zoom and Teams and so on. And we came up with the virtual domestic water audit, a methodology for an engineer to view a customer's property room by room using the customer's mobile device, look at the water assets, take flow and size measurements, assess usage, offer tips and advice and encourage behavioural change without actually being there. As close as possible to the traditional version without actually being on site, with the customer being in complete control throughout the visit. So to do this, we needed a video platform that was simple to operate without the need to download software or install apps. And we knew that the standard popular platforms such as Zoom, FaceTime and Teams would not do. We needed something better. And eventually we found a solution that passed our internal testing, that was fully secure and fully compliant, and importantly, didn't involve apps or software. And we trained our engineers in the new methodology and provided all of the kit that they needed, and we were off. So looking at the customer journey, it all starts with acquisition, marketing, and involves our call center, either making outbound or inbound calls. Timed appointments are booked and confirmed with the customer using our Acquaint management platform. Preparation information is sent out to the customer, referring them to a website for more information and a demonstration video. And when the day comes, on the day of the call, a reminder email and text are sent out, and the engineer will make contact by phone. The customer follows the link that we've already mentioned and starts the virtual appointment with the engineer, who will take them around the house as they would do on a traditional face-to-face visit. And at the end of the appointment, the customer is given a summary of their current usage and details of what they could save in pounds and litres if they follow the engineer's advice and fit the recommended products. The products are then dispatched to the customer free of charge, with the offer of a follow-up call to assist the fitting. And finally, a report with the relevant tips is emailed to the customer. So is it working? Well, yes is a simple answer. We've now carried out over 10,000 virtual audits with 3 different water companies and have achieved excellent success comparable with the face-to-face version. 70% of people taking part say they prefer the virtual audit to an engineer coming to their homes. As you can imagine, we have a mass of data, but with the limited time available, I wanted to highlight 4 key areas, assessing how the virtual audit compares to the traditional or face-to-face alternative. We all know that leaking toilets is massive, and we were concerned that we wouldn't be able to pick up leaking loos using the virtual methodology. The first graph on the left shows that face-to-face, 7.6% of all toilets we came across were leaking. And on the virtual system, the figure was close at 7%. So you've got 7.6% against 7%, both pretty close. The number of products fitted while we're on site is a general indicator of the likely savings we'll make. And looking at the graph top right, you can see that the numbers are close, with an average of 4.3 products fitted per household on a face-to-face visit, and slightly higher at 4.6 products on a virtual visit. We also monitor whether the properties we're at can have products installed or not. And look at the bottom left, 24.2% of the properties had no products recommended on the face-to-face system, and 23.7% didn't have products virtually. So again, extremely close. And the final area we look at is the possible savings over a 12-month period. And looking at the graph bottom right, we're seeing savings of 11.6% face-to-face against 12.3% virtually. So in summary, the results are showing us the performance levels do not drop when moving from the face-to-face audits to the virtual solution, with all key indicators being comparable.
1 minute, Jonathan.
Okay, thank you. So my final slide. So the virtual audit is now here to stay. It's not simply a solution to a pandemic problem, but offers real solutions to issues that have been around for many years. For example, customers who are frightened or vulnerable, customers living in geographically challenged areas, and customers living in high crime areas. The virtual visit is all about customer engagement and personal involvement in the process. It relies on human interaction. It is proven to save the customer water and to save them money, and it's here to stay. From now onwards, water company customers, when offered a home visit, should have the choice of a face-to-face appointment or a virtual visit via a video platform. The future's bright for the virtual audit, especially now we're creeping back to some sort of normality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's great. That's good and clear, bang on time too. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Richard, you have your hand up. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, thanks, Alistair. Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for your presentation.
Hi, Richard.
We're short on time, so I'll cut straight to it.
Yes.
Where you do the remote audit and you recommend products to customers, how do you know that those products were actually then dispatched and fitted? So the savings, the theoretical savings that are assessed actually materialize on the ground?
So it's a great question. At the moment, we monitor all the items that go out of our warehouse. So we can see when they're sent out, on time, in full, and so on. So we've got all that monitored, and we see that on a dashboard. But the key thing is whether they get to the customers, as you rightly point out. So what we generally do is we phone about 1 in 5 customers to check that they've actually received the products. That's the easiest and most straightforward way we can actually check, by doing a random sample. So that's how we cover that point.
Okay, and just a quick follow-up question that and that is, what's the savings for the water company based on this approach versus the traditional approach?
So both approaches are hitting about a 12% saving. So they're very, very similar.
I mean, financial saving?
Financial savings for the individual.
For the water company, presumably it's a cheaper operation.
Oh, I see what, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. There's about a 25% saving on the virtual audit against the traditional face-to-face audit. Sorry, I didn't understand what you meant.
Fantastic. Matt, you were up next, and I'm going to go Anna. So Matt first.
Yeah, so my question was going to be about the productivity of the engineers. So are you seeing that you're increasing the number of visits that you're getting done in a day? And if so, what were you doing face-to-face compared to kind of the over-the-phone virtual stuff?
We're seeing a massive improvement in productivity. There are 2 important points. Number one, you've got the environmental benefits because you don't have the guys driving around in a van, which is critically important, obviously. We're seeing A traditional face-to-face auditor will do 7 or 8 audits a day. A virtual engineer will do 10 to 12. But the other aspect, yes, we're getting a lot more out of the virtual audit. We're very careful about the well-being of the engineers, because they're sat there at the desk with the headphones on looking at the screen. So we ensure they have gaps, they have breathers, and they have coffee breaks and so on, because when the guys are on the road, when they're driving from one appointment to another, in a way that's a bit of a gap, a bit of a breather. We're very aware that it's very intense for the guys doing the virtual audits.
Thank you. I'm going to go Anna next.
Hi Anna, thanks Jonathan, great presentation. My question is more around the customer side. So you mentioned behavior change. Obviously, I think the auditors are once off. Do you keep a drumbeat of nudges going as the customer kind of might slip back into old habits, or is this something you've considered?
It's very much we're considered. We always treat the audit as the first step in a process, and we're looking to develop ongoing engagement strategies with the water companies, and it's very much dependent on the individual water company. But yeah, you've got to keep that nudge going. You've got to ensure that the message is passed from perhaps the person who's carrying out the audit to the rest of the people who live in the household, and that every so often they're, as you say, they're nudged and prompted, and we try and pick out themes that are relevant to those customers wherever we can, always within GDPR sort of regulations. But yeah, we do that.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank
I'm judges. I'm going in the order of people put their hands up, so don't think I'm ignoring you. So it's Jeremy next, please.
I'll mute myself first. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for that. You mentioned that some preparation materials are sent out. What do you send out, and what's the purpose of those?
Well, we can do one or two things. Generally, we prefer sending out an email directing the customer to a preparation website where they can see videos and they get a feel for what's actually going to happen. The other solution is where we send out a preparation pack with like a flow bag in it and leak strips. They can perhaps do some of the measuring the flow rates of the taps and the showers actually before the actual appointment. So it's one or the other. But when we send out a pack, we also send out a little piece of literature explaining what the products are, which is also replicated on the website. So we try, it's beneficial for everybody so that the customer is prepared, they know what they're getting themselves into, they have some understanding before the appointment what the products are and what the products do. Yes, obviously some of the customers don't read it, but we do try and engage them at that stage rather than just going in cold on the audit.
And sorry, I know you're just about to go to another question, but can I just ask, with that material, is that unique to this virtual one, or were you already doing that?
So we'd use the flow bag before. It's a plastic biodegradable bag that that measures flow rates. We'd use it on other projects, but we created the literature and the website specifically for virtual audits.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Then Aaron, please. Then Glenn, you'll be last, but not least. So Aaron first, please.
Great. Hi, Jonathan.
Aaron.
Yeah, I just wanted to see, in terms of the market potential, have you considered integrating with other home visits like energy efficiency? I know that some water companies are looking at combining the two because if you're in a home already, it's better for the customer and can be cheaper for the water company also. And also, I guess I know that some other companies have been doing this, virtual audits themselves. They've switched over also, and you talked a little bit about the platform being unique, but I guess if you could kind of expand on that, what kind of makes your approach different to what other companies are doing?
So, sorry, the first question was related to energy and whether we could bring it into the virtual audit without shadow of a doubt, and it's something we're looking to do. Clearly, the first and most important thing was to actually transfer the water audit face-to-face onto the virtual solution. And I think all water companies are looking at both solutions, bringing energy savings and energy efficiencies into that solution and working with energy providers. And it makes absolute sense. We always say that the hardest thing is getting through the door. Once you're through the door, you might as well, fill your boots and do as much as you can while you're there. So the second part, the platform that we use, it's not a unique platform. I said the way we go about doing the virtual solution is unique to us. We use a platform that is used by the NHS, the armed services, and the police. So we had that confidence that it was secure. And in this day and age, we wanted to have that assurance that we could give to both the clients and the customers. That, you know, on various other platforms, you hear about people accidentally coming into a meeting and things like that. We wanted to ensure that that would not happen, and that particularly for people who aren't particularly technologically savvy, and I don't want to say the elderly, because my father's sort of 80 and he's more whiz bang than I am, but people who struggle with that, there's no app, there's no downloads, there's no software. It's literally click a link and then the engineer will be there. Anything else that does need doing, the engineer will talk the customer through.
Thank you ever so much, Jonathan. And Glenn, would you like to round off the questions? Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, Jonathan. So just a quick question, again, relating to elderly people. Do they need a smartphone? Is it because a lot of older people or people who are from deprived backgrounds who would need your service more than most may not have a smartphone?
That's a really interesting question. And the reason it's so interesting is because when we started this, we thought, well, you're going to have some fallout, and it's unfortunate that people that don't have smartphones or have perhaps older smartphones that aren't up to date and can't use the system. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things they're going to have to fall by the wayside. And then what we found out was people were contacting us, telling us, and we started transferring the virtual audit onto just a purely telephone audit, where we did some additional training with the engineers so that they could cope with customers who didn't have a tablet or a phone. And so we managed to replicate as closely as possible the virtual audit just by phone. So where people are stuck, and perhaps it might be just that their Wi-Fi connection breaks halfway through. It could be as simple as that. We have the ability to offer a phone audit as well as to switch from the virtual to a phone audit if need be. And that's really important. That's been very, very popular.
Thank you, Jonathan.